Today we are dropping in the feed with a little bonus episode. I want to tell you about a podcast that we're big fans of called The Story Collider. The Story Collider is all about how science can help us discover how weird and wonderful it is to exist in this world and to be a human. You're going to hear stories from the lab that are as thrilling as any adventure. Each episode features 2 stories told by people from all walks of life, from all over the world, and actually, their latest episode features me, Christopher Rivas, yours truly. And so we are going to play that episode for you right now, and let me warn you, get ready to feel some feelings.
Hi, I'm Misha Gajewski, host of The Story Collider. Every week, The Story Collider brings you true personal stories that help us to discover the wonder of being a human. The natural world is amazing, and what makes Story Collider unique is that you discover how science can help make sense of it all. Of course, you can get Story Collider on Apple, Spotify, or anywhere you like to get your podcasts. And like potato chips, one story is never enough. It's a good thing we come out with a new episode every week. So go ahead, experiment a little. Check out Story Collider today.
All the time, more times than I can count, people love to come up to me and tell me, I just did my ancestry. Have you done yours? What's in your blood? This is usually followed by I'm a 10th Middle Eastern or 14% Sub-Saharan, or there's actually a little bit of Africa in me, to which I respond, the whole continent? One time after this writing workshop I was teaching, a woman came up to me and she said, oh my gosh, I resonate with that so much, and it confirms that I want to make a career change and become a life coach because we need more life coaches. Shouldn't say that part. And she said this was true because she just got her ancestry done. And she said, and I quote, I know there's a little bit of South Asian in me, and that resonates with me. I feel that part deeply in my soul. Personally, I have not done my ancestry. I have not traced my saliva to figure out my specific genome and chromosomes that make me as nervous and anxious as I am. Very. Partially because I do not feel completely comfortable with giving my DNA to a private company as if they don't have it. Ignorance is bliss. Ignorance is bliss. Also, is it really as simple as saying I am Dominican and Colombian? What does it really mean to ask and live the question, what is in my blood? What do my ancestors have to teach me? To share with me? What wisdoms, what knowings, what unknowings, what truths, what fears? What is in my blood? God, this question, it started to itch at me. And part of the problem is I don't actually even know my family. Nobody in my family ever talked about it. I never got the proverbial oh, your dad was your grandpa was a championship Dominican knitter. None of that. And so I called my cousin Edwin. Edwin is the only person who ever really talked about our family. And I said, yo, Ed, how come no one talks about our family? No one talks about the DR, not dad, not abuelita. And he said, oh, it's because they're probably embarrassed. Embarrassed of what? And that's when Ed proceeded to tell me about my great-grandfather, Juan Alba, who was the founder of a town in the Dominican Republic called La Caleta. Yo, finding a town is kind of pretty dope. Why would you be embarrassed? He said, it's not that simple. And he proceeded to tell me that Juan Alba was a cousin-in-law to Rafael Trujillo. Now, for those of you who do not know, Rafael Trujillo was the bloodiest dictator in Latin American history. I mean, this man with Haitian descent, Haitian blood himself, someone who baby powdered his face multiple times a day to move himself closer to whiteness, committed the overnight genocide and the racially motivated massacre of 20 to 30,000 Haitians in one day. Talk about hating your blood. I got off the phone with Edwin and I thought, oh God, is this how everyone feels when they get their 23andMe results back? Grimy. On one hand, it's super nasty that I'm related to Trujillo in this way. Not by blood, but it's still a weird part of my family tree. On the other hand, it's kind of a joke that the DR is a small island, so everyone is related in one way or another. Anyway, I'd gone down the rabbit hole, and so the next obvious step was to assault my father. So on my next trip home, I took my dad to lunch and I just bombarded him with questions. I said, why didn't you tell me about this? Are you ashamed? What are you embarrassed of? What else are you keeping from me? Hey, is this why you never took me to the Dominican Republic or why you never wanted me to learn Spanish? Is this why abuelita told me to sleep with a clothespin pinched to my nose like they do it back in the campo, to help keep it thin? Or why every day I still do this in the shower? Are you looking for an apology, my dad said? Because I'm not going to apologize to you. Oof, my dad. For those of you who don't know, my dad is like the Dominican Samuel L. Jackson. The Pulp Fiction one. He's got mad wisdom, but like wisdom with a hammer. He also has like resting, get out of my face. Pops, I'm not looking for an apology. I just feel like I never, got any ancestral wisdom, any history. No, but I fed you. I kept you alive. I loved you. How's that for wisdom? Touché. I'm not going to apologize to you, Chris. Look at your life. You live a good life, right? Yeah, Pops, I live a good life. Okay, good. And so you want to know more about your history? You want to speak Spanish? Bien, perfecto. Estamos aquí, hablamos juntos. But don't come at me like that. History or no history, we did the best we could, and we think we did a damn good job. Yeah, Pops, you did a good job. And so we had a very awkward lunch in silence, and I let him have this one for now. And then a couple years later, I somehow create the opportunity to fly myself to the Dominican Republic for the first time for a piece that I'm making. It's a piece about my life and history and what's in my blood. And most importantly, I have enough cash to take someone with me. So I call my pops. Yo, Pops, let's go. He says, nah, I'm busy. I got work. I said, the trip's on a weekend. You don't work on a weekend. I don't want to get in the way. Hey, yo, Pops, you are the way. Come on. There's no other person I should be here with. There's no other person I should go with. Let's go. And when I land in the DR, y'all, let me tell you, I feel this peace wash over me. Like I'm not pretending or code switching. I'm just in a sea amongst myself, and it feels right. I'm like resting in my own skin. And my dad, on the other hand, he's like full Dominican at the rental car place. Yo, he's like, tigre this and que lo que that. Yo, I see this little boy in him, and it is beautiful. He is ecstatic. He also does not have to pretend here. He doesn't have to prioritize and decide what language do I give my kids for the best life possible. My dad, he's starting to get really nervous because we have a lot of families we're supposed to see here. The first person on the list is my dad's uncle Peto. He lives in La Caleta, the town my great-grandfather founded. And he doesn't have a phone number, and we don't have an address, and my dad hasn't been to the DR in 30 years, so who knows? We get some salchichon and aguacate, and we get on the road. And as we're driving, my dad says, I think a while back, Beto sold some of the land to the Mormon church. And I swear to whatever you believe in, that as he's saying this, 2 Mormon kids are crossing the street, like white shirt, ties, the whole thing. Let's just say they stick out, because on one side of the street, it's like Dominicans, merengue, dominoes, and then it's like 2 white Mormon kids. My dad, he basically jumps out of the car and he goes, hey, where's your house? These missionaries are terrified, y'all. Our house? Yeah, house. You got a house, right? Our church? Yeah, your church. Where's your church? That way. And that way we head. And the closer and closer we get, my dad's memories, they start to solidify. And he says, oh, we're close. And then boom, I hear him say, that's it. That's my uncle. That's my uncle. He's just whispering, that's my uncle. I still get chills. That's my uncle. And off in the distance is this old man. And yo, he's pretty fly, y'all. He's like got sunglasses on. He's sitting outside. He's surrounded by 3 dogs, and he's got mad swagger. He kind of reminds me of myself. And my pops. And my dad, he starts walking towards him, and he says, that's my uncle. And his uncle Beto, he says, Guillermito. That's my father's nickname as a kid. And now they're both crying. I'm crying. The entire neighborhood is crying. The 2 Mormon kids are crying. My dad, he's not like an emotional person, especially not outwardly. I didn't expect him to cry, not like this, but I guess that's what the things in our blood do. They reveal to us who we are. That was a crazy time for me and my pops. I saw sides of him I'd never seen before. I met family that I didn't even know he had. He has a sister. I didn't know he had a sister. And one day at lunch, my dad, he starts to cry again. God, he cried more in this weekend than I'd seen him cry in 35 years of knowing him. And he starts to tell me about his mom. He starts to tell me about my mom's mom and how they came to this country, and they struggled and they hustled and how hard it was. He said, I didn't want you to have that. I wanted things to be different for you. We just did the best we can. I didn't keep anything from you on purpose. I was just trying to give you a better life than what we had. You did, Pops. You did. You see, my father, he didn't keep anything from me on purpose or because he was ashamed of his Latinidad. He did what so many brown Americans are forced to do in this country. Assimilate, adapt. It's actually pretty universal for any outsider, the hope of possibility for their children. And I am not less because what I do not know about my blood or my history or my ancestors, because regardless of what is in your blood, your genomes and your chromosomes, you still have work to do when it comes to opening your heart, showing up, and meeting yourself day by day. Thank you. And that's our time. The Story Collider podcast has been around for 15 years. It's the ultimate bingeable show. You can subscribe to The Story Collider on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you find podcasts. And of course, every episode includes a full transcript and photos from the stories. Those are available at storycollider.org, mine included. Check them out. Peace.